Hey, fans, friends, and family. It's good to see you guys here. Glad to have you back on the channel. Today, we are going to do my draft analysis of the league I recently joined called Krash. It's a league run by good friends of mine, Crypto and Bash. Well, you're never going to guess this, but you know, Crypto, Bash, mash it together, you get Krash. Whoa, mind blown, really original. But yeah, jokes aside, it's a really fun community. It's a really cool league. The competition is pretty nice. We have a lot of laughs. It's just guys having fun playing Pokemon. That's basically it. The league logo is in front of your screen. Yeah, I'm just going to remove it right now because, you know, we're not going to look at this logo the entire time. No, fuck that. Goodbye, Krash logo. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about is the draft, of course, and also how I'm going to do this, because I actually didn't want to do the draft analysis because most of the time I always think they are pretty boring, right? People are just like, I drafted this mon in round 1, it can do this. That's kind of boring. It's not kind of my intention what it's going to do. I'm going to do this on a really smooth and quickly way because I do feel obligated to show the team I drafted to you guys, and it's also just easier for you guys so you know what kind of mons I can rock with each week. So we have a pretty cool and diverse team drafted. But before we get into the team, the Krash League actually had a different kind of tiering system than you usually see. You see a lot of regular tiers, like the GBA originally started with. You see a lot of point draft styles, which you see as of late. I believe the NPL started with it. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But Krash kind of did a hybrid of it. They did regular tiers, but there was also some diversity in points within those tiers. I'm just gonna show you guys this. This is the tier list. You have tier A, tier 1 A, and you have also, where is it? Tier 1B. So you have separate A's and B's in each tier, except for in tier 4, I think. That's the only reason it was able to make it work. So you also see the Z points. So I believe we had 160 Z points total we could spread across the roster. Obviously, if you wanted a tier 1 Pokemon with Z, that costs a lot more than you would have a tier 5 Pokemon with Z. So, like, it makes sense. But yeah, this is the tier list we were rocking with, and I was really happy to see some steals, and we definitely did get those steals. So, let's go to the team itself. What really attracted me, by the way, about the Krash League is that it's Team Galactic based. And well, let me tell you, if you don't know anything about me, I just absolutely love the villain team, Team Galactic. It's such a cool team. I'm always really intrigued about space and like the space alien kind of vibe things. I always really like that for some reason. You know, everybody has his thing, right? So that's my thing. And I always like the space-oriented Pokemons like Zam. It just looks like cool alien-ish mons. Always like rocket ships. So like things like Celesteela and Metagross and Deoxys, Rayquaza, all those space kind of Pokemon. I don't know. I really liked. So I kind of drafted a team that also kind of fitted the vibe of Team Galactic, so at least I thought so. Also, you know, GCS, I don't know if you guys know what it stands for, but it has the C in it, which definitely stands for Commander, and the G stands for Galactic Commander. So you already know the true Galactic Commander has arrived, and he's going to show these fake commanders who really is the boss, who really is the Team Galactic boss. I'm going to wipe the floor with all of these kids in the Krash League. So, finally, let's go to the team. First mon, Clefable. Well, kind of like Clefable because overall it's just a really solid mon. It can just sponge hits, and it can also set up and win each game. So like each game it's a very solid brain in my opinion, and I just really liked the sound of using Clefable again. I've been using it in a couple of tours as of late, and I really enjoyed it there, so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to try it in a league again. So first mon was Clefable. We couldn't get our hands on stuff like Celesteela, which I originally wanted, because yeah, with my luck I was right in the middle. Well, I don't actually have a problem with that, but yeah, it limits you in your options sometimes, so I think. Luckily enough, round 2, Mega Zammer was still around, and I really wanted to pick Mega Zammer up this quickly because not only were a lot of Megas already going, but I also just wanted to have good speed control right away because, you know, I was already planning to grab Mega Alakazam, and I drafted Clefable because it's a good switch into Dark Mons and Knockoff, which your Mega is usually going to be kind of handy for with absorbing the knockoffs, but Megazam really isn't a knockoff switch in, but Clefable is, so you know that already worked out. They also have the space vibe going on, so I like that. And yeah, just overall Mega Zammer is just one of my favorite mons, and I'm really excited to use it. Next up, I really wanted to draft Hydreigon. Hydreigon was a really cool dragon type thing, and the dragons were going, but sadly I got sniped of Hydreigon, and I was like, okay, I need to find a good replacement for my dark type. I already knew what ground type I wanted, so I was like, Crocodile is not an option, and all the other dark types I really didn't feel like going with this time, because my other ground type, which you see, was Nidoqueen, which I just knew I wanted to get for sure. And the other dark types I like were also dark poison, and didn't want to stack the poison type, so I was like, okay, Greninja it is. I'm very comfortable with Greninja. It's really good. The speed there is really solid as well. It's 122. It really covers the gap between Mega Zam and most other fast Pokemon, so it is not just Mega Zam, which is my fast Pokemon. Greninja can definitely have speed control by itself. And yeah, overall it's really nice with the hazard options. It also has the cool vibe of I don't know, being a villain, I guess. It's not really a bad Pokemon, so to say, because it's actually a mon of Ash's team. You know, Ash is the good guy in the Pokemon series, but you know, every dark type has a cool thing about it and can sort of fit to a villain team, so Greninja just fitted the deal to me. Yeah, then Nidoqueen, really wanted Nidoqueen because it was a mon in tier 3, and usually you see it in tier 3, but it's kind of high on the price, usually in just regular point style drafts, and also in some leagues you also see it in tier 2 instead of tier 3, because it's just such good value to the team. Hazards and Toxic Spikes and Stealth Rocks are really good. Its coverage is just great. Overall, its bulk is really good. And yeah, with the Sheer Force ability, yeah, you guys know the deal. It can just do massive damage to teams, and the grounded poison typing is really solid for absorbing Toxic Spikes of my own. Then I felt like, okay, I need to pick up my Steel type as soon as possible, mostly because the most Steel types already went, but this one was still around, and there were a few teams that did not have a Steel type yet. They also did not have a Mega, so I was like, they could also go Mega Aggro, Mega Steelix, but I don't want to take the risk. I just want to go and grab Metagross, because Metagross is also, yeah, first of all, it's kind of space type themed, and I really like that for sure. It's also one of my favorite mons in general, so there's that. But just the coverage Metagross gets and the typing really fits the team, I felt like. Also having another Psychic type was cool in my opinion, because Metagross is partly Psychic type and so is Megazam, but Megazam will be the main user of the Psychic typing, and Metagross just uses the Psychic typing as more as a defensive aspect, than an offensive aspect. I often feel like a Mega Zem can for sure abuse it as an offensive aspect. So it kind of works out altogether. And just in general, another stealth rocker which really helps me set the tone in this draft, because I for sure am able to get up my hazards, because I already have Clefable, Nidoqueen and Metagross to basically be guaranteed brings each week and be able to set up the rocks reliably. Next one I really wanted as well, same case with Nidoqueen. It's big Snorlax, baby, because not only did it fit my team perfectly, I felt like, because I was kind of getting Ghost weak, because I had two Psychic types which are weak to the Ghost typing, and Greninja, it is a Dark type, it is a resist, but let's be honest, it's not the best resist. Opposing Dark types were covered by Clefable as well already, so that wasn't a problem. With Ghost typing, we're still a little bit iffy, and Big Snorlax being immune to that, and just in general being a fantastic switch into a plethora of threats is just amazing on my team. I don't know, I always feel like when I use Snorlax, I get the most out of it. I don't know, maybe sounds cocky, but every time I used it, it always has overperformed my expectations. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. So Snorlax for sure will pick up a lot of kills this season. I'm very sure and confident in that. Or if it doesn't pick up kills, it will wall the things it needs to wall. Then I was really excited for Mienshao, especially because I've never used it before, but I've seen it used and I always wanted to use. But yeah, I always drafted different fighting types because I don't know, I just like certain fighting types a lot. But I always wanted to try this one, and what is really cool with this Mienshao is that it covers an important speed tier, being the 105 speed tier, which is really cool. And it forms a really phenomenal offensive fighting dark psychic core with the Mienshao, the Greninja and the Mega Zammer. Like, they are really fast, they all hit incredibly hard and are really tough to deal with, because if you end up having an actual good response to it, they all pack the U-turn and are just basically able to get momentum off of you. And if you are really forced to take the hits from them, then you are most of the time really defensive and passive, and yeah, they just abuse passive Pokemon by full turning all over, and then getting the big hitters like big hitter Queen, big hitter Metagross, big hitter Zam. It's just working out phenomenally. Then I picked up Blastoise. Kind of love Blastoise, man. It's a really good tank. It's a true definition of tank. It's like almost never getting one shot. Like, it can always take at least 2 hits from, or at least a hit from each Pokemon. It's just a really good defensive typing, being pure water. Greninja already covered the water typing on my draft, but it is more of an offensive one, and I wanted a defensive one as well. Blastoise can do that just fine. It covered the rapid spin, which is really important because I did not have the best of hazard removal. I did have good removal of my good hazards of my own, so I could pressure opponents. But if they decided to stack me back, I couldn't really get rid of it, and now I can with Blastoise. It's super reliable in doing so, and yeah, I'm just really confident that Blastoise can carry its own weight on this team, for sure. Then, almost the last picks, I decided to grab Salamence. Remember when I said I wanted Hydreigon back then? Ever since Hydreigon got sniped, I was looking for a different dragon that could fulfill this role. This kind of offensive breaker role that also is very pressuring and has good utility options. Well, Salamence does this perfectly. Most dragons were already gone, and I saw this one hanging around in tier 1B actually, so it's kind of budget pick in a way. And especially with the Z moves, if you look at my team, I don't have the best users as of right now. I do have Greninja, which could have been a good one, but I really liked the thought of Z Salamence, because its secondary step, being the flying type, becomes really viable now with Flynium Z, Supersonic Sky Strike. It's just basically a guaranteed kill each week. it's kind of overlooked as of late. I feel like Salamence kind of slept on. Most of the time, people just pick the wall breaking dragons over the sweeping ones, and if there is a sweeping one taken, it's either Mega Charizard X because it's phenomenal in the format. But yeah, you guys definitely slept on Salamence. I'm going to prove. Yeah, I'm going to prove why it's still an excellent dragon. Each time I used it, it worked out really, really well. And just in general, having a 100 base speed with the Dragon Dance option is actually really scary, because choice scarfers are the best. Choice scarfers are often around base 85, base 90 speed tier, and once mons go above the original 100 base speed, they often aren't scarfed and they are more mixed attackers. And yeah, basically forcing one of those mons to be a scarfer to potentially prevent Salamence is really excellent. It forces a lot of prep, and just being so bulky with the Intimidate option it's just great. Then next up I took Flareon. I also made it my Z user because it was the cheapest option. I felt like it never hurts to have a Z Flareon. You know, you can always abuse stuff like Fire EMZ with that massive attack set it has. I don't expect Flareon to do too much on a team, but it definitely has its place right here. Fire immunity is really good. Being a guts attacker is really good, and having a second cleric is also very nice, because right now the team kind of relies on Clefable to either absorb status or remove status. But yeah, Flareon can do that as well with the guts and the heal bell option respectively. So really like that value in the cheapest of the cheapest tiers. And then we went with the last pick being a Virizion. I just have a weak spot for the Swords of Justice line. The Keldeo, Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion, they are all very good in my opinion. Especially Virizion right here for just a tier 4 pick. I think it's really, I mean, it's kind of like its destined tiering spot, but I think that it's a slapped on poke in tier 4. It has a good speed tier. It has a really, really good special defensive stat, which surprisingly can take on a lot of special attackers very well. And the coverage it gets in grass and fighting, plus having a rock coverage, is really tough to switch in actually. And with it being my Z user and having set up in both physical and special options, plus having the synthesis for recovery, it's really scary. It's going to definitely force some prep on its own, and if people don't prep for it, they are definitely going to pay for it. So yeah, this is the absolute beast squad that's going to tear down this league. I'm very hyped to use it. I think I already uploaded my week 1 battle, so this is kind of uploaded late. But yeah, I have high hopes for this team, and I will just show you guys, like I said before, who is really the best Galactic Commander in this league.